Hi, I'm following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi Pico W lesson. We're on 106, and he brought out the ultrasonic sensor HC-SR04, and he showed us how you could do it in MicroPython, but uh, he suggested that it would be a whole lot more accurate if we did it in the PIO. Um, Earlier on when we were getting started with the PIO, I had actually made a sketch or a code for doing that in PIO, and um, it was probably a month ago or so. But uh, I thought about it and I said I think I can do better because, like I said, mine kind of just measured to the nearest centimeter. So let's get to the code. So this was my code from a month ago, and basically what we were doing is I was timing, the loop timing was timing in centimeters, or the length of time it took to do centimeters. So Paul come up with that number like 0.0343 or whatever, and you can't use anything like that in um, uh, you know, PIO. It doesn't do floating point math or anything. So what I did was you can take I got the calculator here. You take that 0.0343 and you do the reciprocal of it, and you get that a one-way trip should take about 29 microseconds. So instead of doing centimeters per microsecond, we're saying how many microseconds does it take to go a centimeter? So it takes 29 microseconds to go a centimeter. So that's what I used in my code. So you see this 28 and plus the one for that. And uh, you're doing that twice because you got the out and back. So you need 50 29 plus 29 is 58 microseconds to get a centimeter. So I was timing in centimeters. And another thing that you have to do with this is that the PIO doesn't count up very well. So you got to start from a number and count down. So on my code, I use the um, 300 because you need to have a way of timing out of your uh, if your PIO, I mean, if your ultrasonic sensor doesn't send back a value in a reasonable amount of time, you don't want your PIO to keep looking for it and cycling and cycling. So you, I brought in this 300 and I decremented from 300 down 300 centimeters, which the data sheet says it's up to 400 centimeters that you can measure, but most of the Arduino libraries use 300, I think, just so that you don't time out or whatever. And that's plenty far away, 10 feet away about for 300 centimeters. So that's, if you're measuring farther than that, you probably not using the right tool. So anyhow, we have that going on, and so you have two things that you're checking for. You're decrementing and seeing if you got to zero, and also you're looking for the echo pin to go to go low. It's already you're starting it up here when it goes high, and then when it goes low, you're going to jump out of it and return it. And so you got two things that you're doing. You got, and like I said, it added up. The rest of them are uh, just single instructions and labels that don't add up to anything. So and then what I did in mine, and this might be not I think it's the best way of doing it, but there's other ways you could do it. Is that I actually am doing this once you start this PIO, I am continuously uh, doing this over and over and over again um, until you stop it or whatever. Uh, but how I'm doing that is I am using the IRQ to let the program know that you have a reading you're pushing the reading over there, and then you, you are you send IRQ saying data's ready, and then the IRQ I have is a get CM function, and what it's doing, you got a global distance thing, and I'm taking the 300 because you're counting down, so the time between the 300 minus this is giving you your distance in centimeters, and that way this distance is available whenever you want it. So down here in the wild true, you can get it whenever you want to, or anytime during your code, that distance is going to be available to you. Um, the down if there is a downside to this is that I have you're only supposed to read this every 80 milliseconds. So I have a timing loop out here so that it doesn't do uh, doesn't start another ping before 80 milliseconds gets through. So the downside to me might be that you are every 80 milliseconds or whatever, you're taking some processing away from the Pico to do this small calculation up here that you got. And I don't, your code would have to be pretty intense that you would miss that little bit of processing time. And like I said, you don't have to account for it because it's a request IRQ, so it just gets processed, at the end of code or whatever, at the first opportunity. That's the way IRQs work. So anyhow, I thought about this, and then the more I thought about it, this could be off by because it's only measuring centimeters. So if you have the low come back at the beginning of these 58, say if it uh, after a couple cycles it comes back low, you're not going to notice it until you finish all 58 of them. So your centimeters are going to read long a little bit. It could be, it's the next centimeter up. So you're always going to be, you know, not that accurate with it. It could be up to, 9/10 of a centimeter off or whatever. So I thought, well, I can do better than that. So what I did is I just decided to, oh yeah, by the way, we're using our frequency is 1 million, so that's 1 microsecond for each cycle on this. So I decided, well, let's just count microseconds instead. So I took out the extra, the code's almost the same. I took out the extra weights on there, the 28 extra weights on that. So now what we're doing is we are counting down much more quickly on this, and we are actually going to be able to get the microseconds. So we still have two of these. So we have we're going to X decrement, and then we also have the check on the pin, waiting for it to go low. So every time through this loop, you're doing two, two uh, cycles. So um, in when you're doing your microseconds, you got to divide by two. So this is actually every 2 microseconds you're getting this. So that automatically takes the divide by two out of it. So instead of the 300 down here that I had, I took the 29. Let's do this, clear this. 29 microseconds times 300 centimeters, and you get 8,700. So I started my countdown. I'm putting 8,700 into our beginning over here, and then moving it to X, and we're decrementing X. So we're counting down from 8,700. So basically, this is going to give us about a 58 times more resolution on our uh, echo, um, which should be better. So that's good. Um, Everything else is the same. Like I said, the only thing, like I say now, when we do our get CM, we're going to do 8,700 time minus the whatever the number is. That's going to give you how many microseconds has elapsed. So then you're going to do your multiply by the 0.343, and I'm just rounding it to one decimal place, just uh, I think that's plenty of precision. So anyhow, we can show it running, I guess. So it's in front of me. And then if I point it up toward the ceiling, it's about 165 uh, centimeters away. And I can get all the way down to, it goes down to about 3. After that, it just kind of doesn't see it as well. So I can get from about 3 centimeters down to that. Anyhow, that's my code, and just I know Paul's next lesson said high precision, so now we can, instead of rounding it to a one decimal, I mean to just centimeters, we could round it to less. We could, do 2 centimeters if we wanted to. I mean, two decimal places if you wanted to, but I don't think you're going to get any closer than what you got there. Anyhow, that's my code. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Paul, for all the great lessons. Have a great day, everybody.